Welcome to the Chestnut Hill Gallery. Today we're here with the artist Bob Arnosky. Bob, welcome.
Okay.
Well, actually, one of the first questions would be, what inspired you to paint in the first place?
I come from a family that's all artists, so it isn't like there was a time that I didn't think about drawing or painting. It was just what everybody did in the house. So the inspiration just came from watching my dad do it. My dad was a very, very good patent draftsman, and I was too. I followed him. I did that for a long time.
So what got you into actually painting?
My first child, Misha, he was about 2 years old. So I started painting for real. I found my voice, the kind of stuff I wanted to paint while I was walking him around the neighborhood. And I did a painting of him in the neighborhood. And I liked what I saw, and I thought, well, this is what I could do. And then I just started painting the neighborhood, everything in the neighborhood.
Now, did you take photographs, or did you paint plein air? Or?
When I'm out and around, I will see something I want to paint. And if I'm lucky, I can get what I need while I'm there, one stop.
Right.
But I've gone back, 6, 7 times, 6, 7 months. Sometimes I go back year after year because I know there's something there I want to paint.
Sure.
But I don't know what it is yet, so I'll take photographs. And until I see exactly what I want, or if a person shows up, it has to be, I don't paint from a photograph, but I use photographs to put a painting together.
Okay, and the paints that you use are acrylic.
Yes.
Is that true? Did you try oil? Or?
Never painted with oil.
Okay.
I never learned how to paint. I didn't go to fine art school. I went to commercial art school.
I see.
So they taught us how to paste up and things like that. So I really didn't have any background in fine art, and I never learned how to use oil paints, and frankly, they were scary.
Sure.
But I knew everything about acrylic paint.
Right. So
So I just started using acrylic. And acrylic paint is great if you paint the way I paint. I really have if I mess up a painting before I go to bed, I can paint it all white and the next morning sandpaper it and start from scratch. I don't think you can do that with oil paint.
No, you can't, no.
So it really suits the way I paint because it's fast. It dries fast, and you can paint fast.
Okay, and how about you're painting on board? Do you ever paint on canvas?
Well, I painted on canvas before I started painting on board, and I heard somewhere that, I don't know, maybe my brother told me. My brother is Jim Arnosky. He's a famous wildlife artist and author. And he told me once that you should paint on board.
Oh,
So
really?
I
Well,
I think he said Andrew Wyeth did it or something. Oh, I started painting on board, and as I got older, I liked it because I would go to when you're a kid, you go to the art museum all the time, and you look at all these paintings. They're 10,000-year-old paintings.
Sure.
They're all painting on board,
Okay.
and I liked it. I thought canvas is not for me. It just isn't for me. I don't paint on an easel. I paint flat.
Okay, so your subject matter, though, you like going through the city and seeing things that inspire you, or something that you just think you should put down?
Yeah, it's just the light. If the light is hitting something the right way, I'll crash the car because
Okay.
I'll be driving and it's like a trout and a spoon, and that's it. And I have to see it, so I pull over, and if it's something I have to see, it's usually something that's worth painting.
Okay, well, let's talk about something that you want to talk. One of the paintings that you want to talk about that inspired you.
My favorite painting here is this one. It's called "Your Purchase Helps Us to Help Others."
Okay.
And it's after I did it. It was the first painting I did when you said let's have a show.
Okay.
So I had to paint quick. I had to paint some. I had to do paintings, and I had about a couple of months to do several paintings.
Right.
Because these are not all new, but most of them are. So there's this mission house down in it's not Mount Airy, it's Cheltenham.
Okay.
And I've painted it before, and there's just something about that. It's white. It's a thrift shop. It's got a sign. I love signs.
Okay.
And if you have a good sign in front of something, especially if the sign is important, like that sign really means something. And then I saw the little boy and his dad. I don't even know if it's his dad. All I know is the man and the boy are walking together, and they look like they're related, and they just fit right into the church scene, the mission scene, and all that.
Did you take a photograph of that before you did it?
Oh, I took
took a lot
a lot of pictures of the mission.
Mhm.
And then I waited around. I look for people,
Sure.
you know, and certain people are interesting, and certain
Right.
people aren't. And it's usually, with me though, the light has to be right. You know,
Okay.
if the light's wrong, it doesn't matter how interesting.
So it's all about the light in all your paintings,
It's always the
really.
light.
Yeah,
If the light's wrong, it doesn't get done
Mhm.
because the light's the only thing that interests me.
right,
I'm not even interested in the subject.
Okay,
Never
all right.
have been.
right. So, you took a lot of photographs of this painting then?
Not of the area.
Of the area, I mean.
But I drive by there every day.
Okay.
So it's like that one. There's a guy fishing on the Schuylkill. Well, everybody paints that bridge.
Right.
And I had no interest in painting the bridge because I don't paint bridges and I don't paint landscapes.
Right,
But I like the people down there who fish.
right,
So I would go by there, every day for years, and I always said I gotta paint either the scullers or the
sure.
scullers or
And
the
a
guys.
lot of people paint them.
Yeah, well, you see, they must be from the art schools. They set up easels, and they're always painting that bridge or the other bridge or
Right.
especially the Strawberry Mansion Bridge.
Yeah.
This is all Aiken's stuff, They
Mhm.
all paint the same stuff, and it's because it's beautiful. But it didn't interest me. But the guys fishing interested me, so I went down there, month after month until I spent most of the summer until I found, people fishing and enough I
Sure.
could work with.
Right.
The right tackle box,
Mhm.
everything has to be, kind of right. And the chair,
Sure.
I was very interested in that chair. And it's very mundane, but that's what I like. I don't paint things that are interesting.
Mhm.
I paint things that are mundane
Right,
and hope to make them interesting. Because if something's interesting,
Right.
it's already done.
Well,
Why should I
people-
paint something that's already beautiful?
people have pointed that painting out and said, wow, yeah, I know those guys fish down there. They say something about that painting because they do see it all the
But
time.
and I've noticed that with my work, people always think they know where it is.
Yeah,
Now, this one they do, because
Right,
it's
sure,
obvious, it's
right.
got that bridge.
right,
But they'll say, well, I know where that is. I know exactly
Uh-huh.
what it is. But that's good, because they don't know where it is.
right.
But they think
Yeah,
they do, and
sure.
that's important, because if you paint an area that if they paint an area in the city that they know,
Right.
they know, then they're convinced that they...
Like the
that-
one at Broad Street away from City Hall, it's
Instead
not
of,
in
look,
it.
yeah, that,
Right,
instead of
exactly.
looking at City
Yeah.
Hall, looking down City
Right.
Hall.
Right.
In fact,
But
I
they all
didn't-
know it's Broad Street.
Well, they do know,
Right,
and I didn't.
yeah.
I tried my best to maybe not make it look like. I just wanted it a big street
Yeah.
with that big beautiful
Everybody-
woman walking
yeah.
across the street. 'Cause
Mhm.
she was like a gift from heaven. I saw
Uh-huh.
that woman, and she owned that street.
Right.
She was walking across. She's in a yellow dress, and it was spring. I like the title.
Yeah.
Spring is busting out.
Yeah.
So I try to go out of my way to make it not look like any place that they know. Specifically.
Sure.
Because that's not what it's about.
Right.
It's you have to get everybody interested, not just people who like City Hall.
Well-
They painted
well-
City Hall a million times.
Right, but people do know where it is. It's in town, they know that. They don't know exactly where
Yeah,
it
but
is.
these paintings could be in Baltimore, and they'd all say they knew
That's
where they
true.
were, because Baltimore looks very much,
Absolutely.
and certain areas in New York look exactly like these areas.
Right,
So it's definitely just an urban look that,
Okay.
it's just that because it's local, they do know where these areas are,
Okay.
because it's local. I mean, I'm from here.
right.
It's gonna sell.
So what kind of painter do you consider yourself? Like if you
I'm
had
primitive.
Okay,
The reason I consider myself a primitive is that technical ability never, like I said, I don't think it matters. I don't think it has anything to do with painting. A primitive does three things that apply to me. Whether or not you show, you look at the front of a house and you can see the side too,
Mhm.
that's a primitive painting.
Okay.
Well, that's the perspective's off.
okay.
But that doesn't make it a primitive painting. Primitive painters, to me, they paint ordinary people in ordinary places doing ordinary things. And that applies to me more than anything.
I agree.
Not so much whether I distort the perspective.
Right.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Mhm.
And sometimes you do it because you're not that good at perspective. The point is that I don't do it on purpose. What I do is paint ordinary people in ordinary places, doing ordinary things. That's what I think a good primitive does, and that's why I consider myself a primitive.
Okay.
But most people don't think so, because they
Because
think
of
they
what
look
they
real.
think primitive is. But I get you. When you told me that before, so.
I'm wrong, because I don't know anything about
Wow.
art, but I do, that's what I think. I consider myself a primitive artist, and
Okay.
always have.
Mhm. All right, well, this is great. Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
And come on down to Chestnut Gallery and meet my buddy Harry and buy some pictures.